Have you ever wanted to be able to scrape data from Amazon, find out information about the product, the reviews that they've got, who's in the buy box, and much, much more, all on autopilot? Well, in today's video, that's exactly what we're going to be going through, using a mixture of Bright data as well as Amplify to be able to extract the results and then store them into Airtable as well, so you can use them. All of the resources are going to be below, so you can access them nice and easily. And let's jump in and see exactly how it works. So in this use case, we're going to come across and get the URL for these headphones. We'll come back, execute the workflow, paste our URL in here, send it off. We're then going to go through, collect all of the information using Bright data. This is only going to cost us 0.015 cents per extract that we do. Takes around 5 seconds to 30 seconds to get the output. So just play around with this wait module here, see how long it takes for you. We're then going to download all of the information to do with that product. So like we can see here, we've got the price, we've got the person who's currently in the buy box as well, the ASIN number, and so much more that we'll be able to use. We've got other sellers, so you can see who you're competing against. If we come down here, there we go. So you can see who maybe is trying to get the buy box and much, much more as well. We're then going through and also extracting the reviews. I've just put it down here, so we're only getting the top 3 pages, but you can go and extract as much as you want. It's going to be 50 cents per 1,000 records that you extract. We're going to go through and store it all in Airtable. So if I come back into here, as you can see, we're going down, adding them in and making sure that we've got all of these details. And we're checking the review ID to make sure that we're only updating new records in there. We're going through and then getting information about the seller. So as you can see here, using Bright data, sending that request off, and then getting all of the information to do with them. So their URL, ID, description, and so much more, so that we can analyze this and see how we can compete against them. Or maybe they've got lots of different other products. We can see what else they're offering as well. If you want to get access to it straight away, it's in the resources below, and we're going to go through and build it from scratch together today. So we'll come across, we'll just import the blueprint file in here, and then we're going to walk through step by step exactly how to get it set up. So we're going to get rid of all of these, and then I'm going to be using a form trigger for this, just so that we can capture that URL. We'll do Amazon scraping as the title, and then we'll do product URL as the field that we want. We'll come out of here and do save and put it into this first box here. Next, we're going to do a HTTP request module, and this is where we're going to come across the Bright data to extract this information. So if I come across to our account, as we can see here, we've covered Bright data quite a lot on the channel. Great website for being able to scrape and extract data, and they're market leading in many of the use cases. We're going to come into our user dashboard, and again, we're only going to pay for what we use. We'll come across to web scrapers. You can find web scrapers library, and it will show you all the different ones available. If we come a bit further down, we'll see that we've got Amazon here, and we'll load it up. Now they've got lots of different ones that we're going to use, but the first one will be this collect by URL, and then we'll do seller info by URL. So let's come into that Amazon product collect by URL first. We'll do next. It's going to load up our screen here. If we come into the API request builder, we're going to delete these other 2 in here. We're going to add, maybe we want English in here, and you're going to need to have a standardized zip code that you're going to use for this request. So maybe make it a bit generic for New York, or wherever you're trying to scrape that specific data from. We're going to copy this curl request here and import the curl request into our data here. We're going to just deactivate this and then make sure that we got some data to work with. So I'll come through and paste that in there so that we've got that URL ready to go for us to scrape. We'll then make sure that we reactivate this step. And then what we're going to do is come down here and make a few changes. We've got our API key that's already added in there, and all we need to do is change this URL. So we'll come down to expression, open it back up. We'll remove this URL and then put across that product URL. Now what we'll be able to do is execute this step. This will generate a snapshot ID for us. If we come back across to bright data, across to logs, we'll see here that it's going to be running. And as you can see here, on average, it takes around 10 seconds, 15 seconds to get the output. It will tend to fluctuate based on the number of requests going through. So maybe at peak times, it takes a little bit longer. We're going to come out of here and do save. And I'm going to add a wait module in here, which is where we're going to say for 15 seconds, we need to wait before we're going to try and extract that data if you're running this more on autopilot. What we are going to do as well is come through and search for bright data. This is going to be a node that you're going to need to install from the community nodes. So up here, you'll probably see an install. It's totally okay to do. Just install it so you can use it. We're then going to come down and we're going to look for download the snapshot content. We're then going to come through and add our snapshot ID in there and execute. And as we see here, it's now going to go through and retrieve all of that information for us. Make sure that you've got your account connected in here. Again, that's just adding your API token, which we've got in bright data. If you can't find it, come back across to API request builder, copy the one here, back across and add it in there, and you'll all be good to go. As we can see here, we've now got the results back of all of that information to do with that specific product. So now we're going to go through and store it. And in this use case, I'm just going to go through and use Airtable to do that. So I'm going to come through, do Airtable. We're then going to do create a record. And we're going to go through and make sure we're all connected. If you've not connected before, come down to create a new credential. In Airtable, just come down to the bottom left, Builders Hub, and then you'll be able to go through, create a new token, add all of the details, add all of your bases, and you'll be able to access it nice and easily. We're going to come back though, and we're going to make sure that we add all of the information into this product tab here. So if we come back into here, we're then going to search for our database, which is going to be Amazon and then data extract. There we go. We're going to go for the first table, which is product, and it will load it up. So first things first is that URL that we've done the request for. We're going to add that in there. We're then going to come to our snapshot content and we're going to add some information. So we're going to do the seller's name. We can do the brand description. We can say maybe what the price is. We can say the currency, the number of reviews. We've got other ones like ASIN in here if we want to, or you've got the parent ASIN. And we've got information like the buy box seller, which is that person, if we come across, there's currently in the buy box here. So for example, Andromeda, they're the ones in there at the moment. Again, we've got lots and lots of other information here if you want to. We've got different variations in there. So the different colors in this use case. If we close that down, we've also got the different features listed out. We've got buy box price. We've got the images, so if you want to download that, you could do it as well. Let me know if you want to see that, and we can get it added into the community. We've got all the product details. We've got from the brand as well. We can come down, we've got product description, seller URL. We've got videos that we can download as well relating to that product, and lots more information. So it really depends on what you want to use it for. We're going to come to execute the step. And now what we should see is that we've got a new row added at the bottom here, all relating to Andromeda here. So all good to go. If we come out and do save, we're now going to go through and scrape the reviews. So to do that, we'll do a HTTP request. We're going to be using the run actor synchronously and get data items back with Amplify. We'll copy this request here, come back across to the environment and import the kernel in here. We're going to need to make a few changes, including the actor ID and our authorization token. So the actor that we're going to be using is this one here. It's going to cost you 50 cents, around 50p per 1,000 reviews. The actor ID is the one up the top here, so we'll copy this and paste it into here. So now we've got that actor ID updated. We're going to come through and update the bearer token. So we're going to come down to where we've got our boss settings, open it up into a new tab. We'll come across to our API and integration, and I've already got one generated at the bottom here, so we'll copy this. We'll come back across, and then after bearer, just add in your token there, and you'll be all authenticated. Now for the body that we're going to be sending off, we need to change this to using JSON, expression, and open it up. We'll come back across to our Amazon review scraper and make sure that we're on the input page. We're going to change this to JSON, and then we're going to copy all of this information, come back into n8n and paste in there. Now what you'll see is we're going to need to make some updates like the ASIN, domain, and we can sort by recent, number of pages, the star rating, and much more. We're going to change the ASIN straight away, so we're going to pull that across in here. It's only going to extract it from the .com of Amazon, the most recent ones, and we can say that we want the top 3 pages to come back. In this case, we got the filter for 5-star. It's got to include the word good, all reviews, and we got all the contents as well. If you come across to where we've got the information on the actor, as you can see here too, everything that actor does, so you can include as much or as little as you want. The only thing you have to do is the ASIN and the domain code. We'll come back across, we're going to come out of here and execute the step. This is going to go off and start scraping the information for us, and we know that because if we come back to the actor, down to runs, we can see roughly how much it's going to cost and the current status of that extract that we're pulling through. We'll come back across to n8n. We've got 30 items that have been extracted. So in this case, it looks like we've got around 10 reviews per page. We'll come out of here. We'll do save. We're then going to go through and store all this information. But first, we're going to go through and just only pull out the parts that we want. So we don't want all of this information. We probably just want the review ID, so we make sure we're not adding duplicates, the actual text of that review, and perhaps another one, such as the rating, i.e. how good was it. So what we're going to do is paste this code request in here. Again, it'll all be in the resources for you to get access to. Execute the step here. And as you can see, we've pulled across that review ID, the text, and then we've got the numeric value for the review, which if we come a bit further up, which is going to be that 5 out of 5. We'll close that down and do save. And now we're going to need to go through and add each one. So first thing, we're going to do Airtable. We're going to do search records, because what we want to do is make sure we're not adding duplicate reviews. So we'll add our Amazon base into here. We're then going to come down and choose our reviews table. We need to add 2 curly brackets and do review ID. And then we want equals and 2 quotation marks. We'll change it to expression, and then we're going to pull our review ID and add it in between the 2 quote marks. We're saying return all, so what we want to do is see if that review has already been added in the past. This is going to run through in the background. It takes a little while just because there's lots of records, but it will pull back exactly what we need. We're then going to do a merge node afterwards, because what we want to do is only add in the unique records. So as we can see here, it's already found 8 items. So that means out of the 30, we only want to add 22 into it. So we'll come back to our code module and pull down to input 2. We're going to say that we want to combine, we want matching fields, and we're going to do by the ID. We're going to say that they've got different names because we want the review ID of this, and the code input, we're going to do review ID of this. So that's going to double check that we've got 2 unique reviews coming through. We're going to say that we want to keep non-matches and input 2. So that's where, if we come out of here, as you'll see, we've got the 8 items for input 1. That means we only want the 22 coming through the bottom one here. So now if we execute the step, we've got those 26 items in this case that we're going to go through and use. We're going to come out of here. We're going to do Airtable. We'll do create a record. We're going to come through and make sure we've got our base connectors. We'll do the Amazon base. We're going to do in here the reviews table. We're then going to pull through where we've got the product name. So we'll come back to the downloaded snapshot. We'll put across where we've got the information. So in this case, it was going to be our Bose headphones, which is going to be our title here. We've then got the review ID. So we'll come back up to our merge module, pull that across. We've got the text from the review details and the rating. And then we're going to do the request URL. which is that product URL that we're sending across, to make sure that we're tracking exactly what it is. So now if we execute the step, it's going to go through and just add all of these into our database. So if we come across and we come to reviews, what we should see at the bottom here is all of them getting added in. And in this case, we're only doing 5-star reviews. That's why they've all got 5 stars. You'll get access to this table nice and easily. You just need to duplicate it in your environment. We'll come back across to n8n. We've already added those records in. So now what we're going to do is aggregate them together so that we only get one request going through to the next stage. So there we go. We've now only got one item. I'm now going to pull down and do HTTP request because we're going to be going through and extracting that seller's information. So we'll come back across to Bright Data. We're going to come down to where we've got seller's info. We're going to come across to API request builder, delete the 2 in here, and copy this curl request. We'll come back across to our n8n workflow and just paste it in here. So now what we can do is remove this. We're going to do expression, open this up in here, and then we'll remove the URL that we've currently got. We're then going to close this down, come back to where we've got download snapshot content, and we're going to be looking for that seller's URL. If you want to do it the other way, what we can do is just add it directly into their database, into their information, in, for example, the Airtable. If we come to products, we can do it in here, so that would be a bit easier in the future. If we come back across, we got the seller's URL, we'll add that in there. We'll now come through and execute the step here. Again, we're still only paying 0.015 per record, and it takes around 2 seconds to get that out there. So we'll come back across, we'll do save. We're then going to come through and do a wait module, and we're going to put this for, say, 5 seconds and execute the step in here. Now we'll duplicate the one that we had from earlier from Bright Data, so we can extract that information. We'll now come through and execute the step, and as we should see any second now, we get the information that comes back all around that seller. So as we can see here, it looks like it's still running, so we just need to give it another 30 seconds. This is where you could go through and do an if statement, so if it's not complete or if it has the status of running or building, we won't go through to that next step. We'll just re-execute this, see if we've got the results, and there we go, we've got it all back. So we've got the feedback for that specific company, we've got the ratings, we've got more information about them, so we can use this as much as we want. Now I'm going to come through and do an Airtable module, and we're going to create a record. Again, we'll add our base in here, and we're going to go through and add it into the seller information. So now what we can see here is we can do the seller name, we can do their ID, their URL, we can say the product link, so if we want to check out what else they sell as well, we can do that. So if I add that in there, what we'll also do is copy it here, paste it into a new tab, and we'll be able to see everything else that they sell. So if you're competing against them, you'll be able to see it all in here nice and easily. We'll be able to come and get the positive rating. So we'll come down to where we've got rating positive, pull that across. We can do the number of ratings, so we'll add that in there. And again, we'll just tie it back to the request URL, so we know exactly what product that relates to. So back to on form submission, put across and execute step. And now we've got it all added into here. So if I come across to our Airtable, seller information, and refresh, we've got it all added into the bottom here. And that's how you can really quickly go through, add a product URL and extract lots of information directly from Amazon incredibly cheaply.